Hi, I'm Gráinne Murphy and I'm reading from Where the Edge Is. Idle speculation. Afterwards, those at a comfortable distance will wonder if something small might have made all the difference. If they hadn't all been sitting at the back of the bus, say, the weight distribution or the force of the impact might have changed just enough. A fool and his theory are hard-parted. It is human nature, maybe, to shiver in the unknown interplay of physics and fate and the delicious horror of being this close, yet this far. There will be much talk of meaningful everyday choices about destiny and free will, but those comments are 24 hours away yet. The talk radio shows that will draw them out are only in the early stages of their planning. Their schedules contain nothing more urgent than weather, reality programming, the endless cycle of politics. Nothing can change the fact of the handful of early morning passengers climbing on and moving towards the back of the bus. Pushed there, shamefully, inadmissibly, by the presence of the muttering woman pacing the aisle. The driver knows her, it seems, but that is not in itself remarkable. Everyone in the small town of Kilbrone knows Crazy May. She haunts the bus yard in the mornings, keeping the bins company, the drivers say among themselves, although they know it is simply because fewer people bother her there. Some of them put the run on her, it's true, but most turn a blind eye, let her ride for free. Today's driver nods May on as she waves someone else's out-of-date bus pass, dug from a bin or a bag or who knows where. They swing down the hill, just the two of them, and onto the ring road towards the start of the route, without bothering one another. She never stays on for more than 2 or 3 stops, just long enough to warm her bones after the night's cold, never further than the boundaries of her own small world. At the first stop, several others get on and sidle past her without making eye contact, afraid of her low growl, her dirty plait of hair. Haircuts are only a memory for May, part of a normality fallen by the wayside long since. The others know, as rational humans, of course they know, that homelessness, dirt, madness are not catching, yet they will not risk her presence lest her life leak into theirs. One by one they file on and put enough distance between them and her to feel safe. It is biology, this choice they make, not physics at all. That is what the armchair engineers will never be able to account for. The bus is quieter after May gets off. People catch each other's eye and smile and settle into the stop-start rhythm of the bus as it takes the bends towards the centre of town. The traffic is light. They're a good hour ahead of the morning scramble. The driver keeps the pace steady, reaching each stop right on schedule. Is there a slight popping sound as the bus leans into the curve of the bend? Or is that simply put there later, imagined into being by well-meaning bystanders? When the floor of the world disappears, the noise it makes is surprisingly small, like nothing so much as the metallic splash of a handful of cutlery fresh from the dishwasher into the drawer. The bus hovers for a blink before it falls, fast and clumsy, the road melting away to let it pass through to the nothingness below. Help will be here shortly, they probably think as they cough dust out or pull it in. Or perhaps it is some other cliché that comes to mind. At such a moment, even clichés are forgivable. Wait for the dust to settle. Keep your feet on the ground. Weigh it up, suck it up, sit tight. 1,001 ways to say, do nothing, say nothing, pretend. This too shall pass. Chance knows no such limits. Nina. Nina woke when the clock radio clicked on. She kept it tuned to a pop music station, the uniform nasal drone of the DJs a small price to pay for the certainty she won't be caught off guard by anything real. Dress, bathroom, makeup, a morning in 5-minute slots. To dress last would be to risk climbing back into bed, a lesson learned once, sharply. Her suit hung on the outside of the wardrobe door, and her jewellery was laid out on the dressing table, the last task before going to bed. It helped her to sleep, seeing the shadowy outline of her tomorrow self, a skin all ready to step into, to show her who she was. One less thing to struggle with when the weight of the morning curled her into herself, the shiver of remembering like a comb running along sunburn. The early news had a breaking item about a bus crash in Kilbrone some half an hour outside the city. She held her breath, then released it. She didn't know anyone living there. It wouldn't affect her commute too much either. The studio was on the opposite side of the city. A final couple of minutes to double-check everything before she left. Plugs, doors, windows. The last stop on the tour was Ashling's empty room, the best and worst part of every day. Put your coat on in her room and close it up tight against you to keep in the last of her air, her spirit. Taking her with you when you leave the house. Imagining you can smell her on your skin, the sweet and sour of baby shampoo and spit-up milk. Once she was safely out of the house and in the car, the morning news brought Nina back to life as it did every morning. The road has been closed and emergency services are at the scene. Locals describe seeing the bus crumpled on its side. They cut to a woman's excited voice, like a dog knocked sideways by a car, she said, her voice almost gleeful. The expression was wonderfully visceral. Everyone listening would be picturing roadkill, Nina thought. Settled at her desk, she turned her attention to her computer screen. One of the segments for next week's show was due to go to the editing room, and the process would go much more smoothly if she was clear about the direction she wanted for the piece. She had spent a full day interviewing the staff and residents of a geriatric hospital that was universally lauded for its innovative, holistic approach to the well-being of its residents. Budget cuts had seen it slated for closure under cost-cutting measures, but with a general election looming early the following year, the hope was that some publicity would prompt a local politician to make it part of his campaign platform. Such were the pieces Noel assigned to her since she came back from her leave of absence, the kind of human interest angles that she used to consider fluff pieces, only good for filling time after the main news. But Noel had felt it would suit her, this place of individual stories, and he was right. People told her things now. She had become a magnet for the personal sorrow of others. She understood their preoccupation with the little things, how the boundaries of their damaged worlds were suddenly too narrow to admit scale. She paused the footage on an elderly couple, beaming into the camera, holding hands like newlyweds, then pressed play to hear her own voice. "So tell me, Mary, what are you doing today? You look like you were all dressed up for something special." "Today is date night, Nina," Mary said. "Jim and myself are going to the pictures like we used to when we were first stepping out." "But you're not going out to the movies, Mary, are you?" Her on-screen face settled into its interested pose. It was one of several she had to practice now. Interest, shock, empathy, reminding her face of what was acceptable. "No, pet, I wouldn't be able to go out like that anymore, not these days, but sure, I don't need to." Her husband Jim finished her sentence for her, frowning with the effort of not looking at the camera. "The movies are coming to us tonight, Nina." Here Ben panned the camera around the room behind the couple. It was all set up like a tiny cinema, with rows of chairs in front of a pull-down projector screen. Beside the door stood an easel with an A4 poster of Singin' in the Rain, above which someone had written matinee 12:30, evening show 5:30 p.m. Not so long ago she would have smirked at the idea that 5:30 constituted evening, but there were days now when she too climbed into bed before 8, unable to fight her way even to the quasi-respectability of the geriatric waterline that was the 9 o'clock news. Nearby, Noel's office door banged shut, breaking her concentration. She glanced up. Inside the glass cube of the office, her colleague Mark was talking and talking, waving his hands as if channeling the traffic of his thoughts safely through to his mouth. He was pitching for the bus story, no doubt. If there was an angle, Mark would find it. "Without tears, it's worthless," he told her once. "You have to get them to cry, whatever it takes." On the screen, Mary and Jim were collecting their bags of popcorn from the vending machine, their laughter charming and grateful and guaranteed to horrify the middle-aged voting public. Tears were assured in living rooms up and down the country. How strange to envy Mary and Jim their old bodies, to see all the years they shared and know that even if she met someone else this very minute, she would still never have what they had. Her mother had lately started making noises to that effect, telling her she needed to get out more, to find a hobby, to meet new people. All of the standard euphemisms for finding a man, for looking for one. As if that was what she should want. At every turn it seemed there was the world with its judgmental pointy finger. Never, that finger told her. You will never. "Noel?" She was on her feet and at his door without stopping to think. "Do you have a minute?" "We're nearly finished here. Can it wait?" "No, this concerns Mark too, I think. I want the story, Noel, the bus crash. Well, not the crash as such." She took a breath, jumped. "The families. I want the families." So that is from Where the Edge Is. Thank you very much for listening.